Hey everybody, my name is Mary Beth Caldwell and I'm a third grade math and science teacher at Laurel Magnet School of the Arts in Laurel, Mississippi. Today I'm going to be talking with you about fractions on a number line. Let's get started with our standard. 3NF2A states, represent a fraction 1b on a number line diagram by defining the interval from 0 to 1 as the whole and partitioning it into b equal parts. Recognize that each part has size 1b and that the end point of the part based at 0 locates the number 1b on the number line. Now, two words stick out to me at the beginning of this, which is numerator. Do any of you know what a numerator is? A numerator is the top number in a fraction. I like to refer to it as numerator north. Now the other word is denominator. Our denominator, as I like to refer to as denominator down, is the number at the bottom. Our numerator represents the parts of the whole that we're describing. So in our example, because it's 3, that means that there are 3 shaded parts in our model. Our denominator is our total amount in our entire model. For instance, here there are 4, so 3/4. Now, in our standard, it mentioned that when we're looking at a number line diagram, we have to partition it. Well, what in the world does partition mean? Let's take a break. If I were to show you a basic number line, I hope that you would think of something like this: 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These are all whole numbers, and this is what a number line is. But let's grab our magnifying glass, and we're going to zoom in to just 0 and 1. If our number line starts at 0 and ends at 1, we would need to figure out how many parts to partition it into. Let's go back to our word wall. The word partition means to break apart. So to partition a number line, we'll need to go back to our board on the table and break our whole from 0 to 1 into parts. For instance, if I draw a line right here in the middle, I now have 2 parts on my number line. Here, on a fraction strip, this represents 1 whole, just like our number line represents 1 whole part. If I have partitioned it into 2 parts, I have created what we call halves. Now, do you know how many parts a half is? Have you ever had to split half of your snack with maybe your baby brother or sister? I know my kids have. Halves is the first word that we are going to look at, and we are going to represent where 1/2 is on a number line. Now, I mentioned numerator and denominator earlier. Our denominator is our whole number. Are y'all ready to get up and dance with me? Because I've got a song I'd like to teach you. No, really, you at home, stand up. All right, first thing I want you to do is just sway back and forth. Get a good little rhythm, all right? There's a song here to my left, and it says 0 to 1 and done. And that's all, right? 0 to 1 and done. So keep your sway going and make a 0. You got it? All right. 0 to 1 and done. Can you try that for me? 0 to 1 and done. What that means is 0 to 1 on the number line and you are done. Denom. Now, denominator is short for denominator. And my students made that up, and I loved it, so that's what sticks. 0 to 1 and done denom. Now what do you notice I do with my fingers? I point down, right? Because the denominator is down on the bottom. So let's do that 3 times in a row so that it really sticks. Are you ready? Okay, start that sway. Here we go. 0 to 1 and done denom. 0 to 1 and done denom. 0 to 1 and done denom. Now let's go to our number line. To find the place on the number line that shows 1/2, that's telling us that we have to have 2 parts. I'm going to grab some help here from Hippity Hop Henry. Henry is going to help us hop from 0 to 1. Thanks, Henry. Let's get after it. You ready? 1, 2. It took me 2 jumps, so that is my denominator on the bottom. Now we go back to 0, and this time we count our numerator, which on a number line is going to be the object that we're locating, whether it be a star or a dot or a letter. So from 0, we hop 1 time. So on the number line, this part represents 1/2. Let's do another. The next thing I want to try with you is thirds. Now, how many parts do you think thirds has? If you guessed 3, you're correct. Thirds stands for 3 total parts. So let's go back down to our number line. I like to ask my students if the number that they are partitioning their number line into is an even number. 3 is not an even number. So our first line is not going to be able to go right in the middle. We are going to need to offset our lines just a little bit, like so. Now, let's match our fraction strips to our number line. Because I have 3 parts, my denominator is thirds. Now, let's say that we want to locate where 2/3 is on a number line. Well, first, we need to make sure that we partition it correctly. So Hippity Hop Henry is going to help us jump from 0 to 1. Now, wait a minute. Do you remember our song? Let's do it one more time. 0 to 1 and done denom. So for the denominator on the bottom, let's jump from 0 to 1. Let's go, Henry. 1, 2, 3. I do, in fact, have 3 parts on the bottom. This time I'm going to show you how to label the entire number line. With 3 as our denominator, each tally is going to have 3 on the bottom. Now, I want to represent 2/3. So here, when I go to my fraction strips, I only need 1, 2 of them. So I'm going to slide this one to the side. And this represents 2/3. So now Henry is going to come back, and we're only going to jump 2 times. 1, 2. So this part is where 2/3 would be on a number line. Now to fill in the rest of the number line if needed, for the numerator, you simply just count your parts. At 0, you haven't gone anywhere, so it's just 0/3. When you jump once, 1/3. When you jump 1, 2 times, like Henry did, it's 2/3. And then here, 1, 2, 3 times gives you 3/3. And when you're learning fractions, you'll learn that if the top and bottom numbers are the same, that means you jumped the whole thing. Now, let's try one more. This time, I want to try fourths. Fourths. Do you know how many parts fourths could be? Very good. 4 parts. So, coming down to my number line, I want to make sure that I have 4 equal parts. So let's partition this number line. Remember in the last number line, I asked if the number 3 was even? Well, I'm going to ask you the same thing here. Is the number 4 an even number? I hope you said yes. And because it's even, your first line can go directly down the middle. Now, I like to ask my students, what number plus what same number gives you what you're looking for? And here, 2 plus 2 gives me 4. So I'll need to partition this half of the number line into 2 equal parts. And then I'll need to partition this side of the number line into 2 equal parts. Let's get Hippity Hop Henry to come and make sure that we've done our force correctly. We're going to start at 0, and we're going to jump 0 to 1 and done denom. 1, 2, 3, 4. So my number line has a 4 in the denominator. Do you remember how we can label the numerator after we found the denominator down on the bottom? Excellent. You just simply count. So let's go back to our number line and label our numerator. If we haven't gone anywhere, it's just 0. And then 1, 2, 3, 4 parts. And we would say 0 fourths, 1 fourth, 2 fourths, 3 fourths, and 4 fourths. Now, on our word wall, I want to introduce you to the word unit fraction. A unit fraction refers to one unit or one part of the fraction. Let's put it on our word wall. As you can see, I have a circle that I have partitioned into 6 equal parts. The unit fraction means that each part by itself represents one of 6 pieces. So the unit fraction in this model is 1/6. Let's go back to our table, and we are going to look at a test question. The question reads, a fraction of the figure below is shaded. Which number line shows the same fraction? So here I've got a fraction model, and here I've got the number lines. I would first suggest that you identify the numerator and the denominator from the figure. So let's do that together. First, we look at the denominator, which we described as the total number of parts in a model. There are 6 total parts in this model. Now, how many are shaded? There is 1 shaded. So the fraction that we're referring to is going to be 1/6. Let's label each number line below, singing our song and making sure that we do it correctly. Hippity Hop Henry is here to help. First, we're going to find our denominator. 0 to 1 and done denom. So start at 0, 1, 2. So this number line has a denominator of 2. If we come back to 0 and jump to our object, which here is a dot, we have to jump 1 time, which is 1/2. That does not match our fraction picture, so we are going to eliminate A. Now, B, if we start at 0 and go from 0 to 1 and done denom, 1, 2, 3. So there are 3 total parts on this number line. If we go back to 0 and just jump to our dot, Henry had to jump 1 time. So this number line represents 1/3. That also does not match our picture. Next, we have C. 0 to 1 and done denom. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 total parts on the number line, and when we go back to 0 and jump to our dot, it's 1 jump. So 1/4, which still does not match our figure. Let's hope that D does. Let's jump from 0 to 1 and done denom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 total parts in this number line. And when you go back to 0 and jump 1 time, you get 1 as your numerator, which does finally match. So D would be your correct answer. Now, I've got one challenge for you. We've labeled all number lines from 0 to 1, but what if you see this? This number line is going to go 0, 1, 2, and I'm going to add tally marks here. What in the world do we do if we want to locate the star here? Well, simple. If you get up, let's do our dance one last time to remind us what to do, even when our number line goes past 1. Start that sway. 0 to 1 and done, denom. So 0 to what? 0 to 1, and you're done. Down on our number line, just because our number line goes to 2 does not mean you jump the entire number line. It's 0 to 1, and you're done. So let's do that together. Starting at 0, 1, 2. That tells us that 2 is our denominator for the entire number line, no matter what. Remember to label the numerator. You simply just count the number of parts that you have. If you haven't moved at all, you don't have any parts, 0 halves. If you jumped once, you have 1 part. Again would give you 2 total parts. One more time would give you 3 total parts. And then one more time would give you 4 total parts. Oh no. There's something about this number line that looks a little different. Do you know what it is? Yes. Here, all of a sudden, we've got the big numbers on the top. Let's go to our word wall. The word improper. An improper fraction is a fraction that has a large number on top rather than on bottom. Improper fractions are fractions greater than 1. So look at your number line. When you see the fractions less than 1 whole, you notice that the bigger number is on bottom. Of course, it's the same number when it's equal to 1 whole. But on the right side, on the greater side of 1, the numbers become bigger. These are improper. And that simply means that I needed 3 half pieces to reach my star. So 3 halves would be my answer here. One last question. What if I split this number line with more tallies? What would I do now? 0 to 1 and done, denom. I am still going to only jump from 0 to 1. 1, 2, 3. So this tells me that my denominator on the entire number line is 3. To label my numerator, I simply count 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The fractions less than 1 have the greater number on bottom, but when we get greater than 1 whole, the big number moves to the top in the numerator, which is called improper. I hope that you have enjoyed learning about fractions on a number line with me. And I hope that you can state your I can statement here. I can divide a number line diagram into equal segments and label the appropriate fractional parts. I hope you feel confident in that today, and I hope that you don't forget 0 to 1 and done denom. Now, go grab a parent and see if they can partition a number line. See you next time.